There we go. Oh my God. I love
Yeah, good
ASL.
idea, Vaughn. Give me 1 second. Let me close these drapes for a sec.
I mean, because that light is aggressive back there. Hello from Colorado.
Okay. Hi. Okay, good. Thank you, Vaughn, for that. Cool. So we are so excited to have everybody joining us today for this very important roundtable. This isn't going to be a panel where we just one person asks questions and then everybody answers. It's going to be much more of a conversation to talk about all things diversity. Yes, we're going to talk about ageism. Yes, we're going to talk about diversity initiatives. We're going to get down and dirty today. So let's get started. And so if you have questions, you could put it in the Q&A box and we could, I'll check every so often and ask questions as I feel they are appropriate. So let me bring in the amazing panelists. We have Adit Desai, who I am obsessed with, like so many other people. We have, I'm just going down the list. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. We have Kayla Guest, who I haven't seen in so long. She's literally like the mother of screenwriters, but the young mother of screenwriters. And then we have Kaylin. And then we have Teresa.
There we go. There I am. You see me now.
Yeah, hi.
Let me fix this background situation. That's ugly. I'm moving, guys. This is it. This is what you get.
Where are you moving?
To the Channel Island Harbor thing down up in Ventura.
Oh my God, that sounds very exotic.
Yeah. Well, you know, working from home. Well, I don't need to be in Burbank anymore.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Joey. Hi, Kayla. Hi, Adit.
Hi, nice to see you.
Hi, Kaylin.
Everyone.
Hello.
So why don't we start with just a quick intro, and then we will go from there. How's that sound? So Aquanita, if you want to start with a little bit about who you are and where you work.
Hello, everybody. I am Aquanita. I work at Roadmap Writers. Joey, I am the director of diversity initiatives here. I don't know what else to say other than I collect journals and books that I'll probably never read. Rainy days are my favorite, and I personally prefer dogs over cats. So yeah, that's me.
As you should. And Kayla? Oh, sorry, you're muted.
Maybe I'm not so young, Mom. I'm that guy. I'm the can you please unmute yourself, asshole. I've been at Final Draft for 5 years now. I'm the director of the screenwriting contest Big Break, which is open now. Big hand in the diversity, equity, inclusion efforts over at Final Draft. And I have a 14-year-old who thinks she's 25.
Love it. I'm 37 thinking I'm 14, so we'll just switch. And Teresa?
Hi, I'm Teresa Wong. I'm a one-hour drama writer. I want to take this opportunity to say I stand in solidarity with the writers, assistants, and script coordinators as they go into this new negotiation. Hollywood needs to pay assistants a living wage. They are not entry-level positions. They are skilled writers and assistants and an integral part of every writer's room. So I know I'm not alone in this. So I just want to give them a shout out. We're with you.
Can I just
pay up Hollywood?
Can I say this right off the bat? Teresa, I've seen you not only do so well in the industry for yourself, but you were always looking behind you and seeing who else you could bring up with you.
Oh, absolutely.
To me, I mean, it's just so amazing, and I'm just very inspired. And
thank you for saying I'm doing well. Maybe you can call my parents. Maybe you can call my mom and dad.
This is recorded, man. We can send this.
They're not gonna watch it.
No, I know, mine don't either.
Thank you, Joey.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's important. We lift each other up, and that's how we're going to change the face of Hollywood, is by
Yeah. I love it.
lifting each other up.
Cool. And Kaylin?
Hello, everyone. I'm Kaylin Feeney. I'm a writer and an actor, and I'm part of the WGA Writers with Disabilities Committee, which is the Disabled Writers Committee now. And I was just selected for the Inevitable Foundation Fellowship. It's their first cycle of fellows. So I am one of the writers, and their fellowship was designed to help writers disabled writers with disabilities to enter the field. So thank you so very much for inviting me to be a part of this panel. I'm really looking forward to today's discussion.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And Adib?
I'm Adib Desai. I'm a TV writer. I run the LA TV Writers Facebook group, I think since 2015. I don't even know. Time's a construct. And we have 16,500 people in there. So that's it for me. That's all you need to know.
Awesome. So like I said, this is gonna be much more of a conversation. So anybody could just kind of jump in the conversation, go any which way. But we really thought it was important to talk about diversity, what's going on in the industry, what people are doing, what they're not doing, what they say they're doing, but they're not doing. And let's start with the writers' rooms. I know there's a lot of, obviously there's a big push for diversity in the writers' rooms, but is it actually happening? To me, we actually had a panel recently where it was a Disney Plus show, and I'm not going to say the title of the show, I don't think, but it was basically the biggest kind of note on it was that it was the first openly gay character that was leading the series. And in the writer's room, there's only one gay writer. And to me, that was a little eye-opening. It's like, so like one person is speaking for everybody, but I'm just curious, opening to you all, how do you see the writer's rooms changing, if at all? And maybe we'll start with Teresa.
I mean, I know how I'd like to see them change. People often incorrectly attribute diversity efforts as, giving people who don't deserve jobs, meeting a quota, this and that. The truth about diversity is it's about the best person for the job. Mm-hmm. It is. And a room full of white guys are never going to be the best people for a job when the show has different perspectives, different genders, different sexual orientations, different abilities. If you're trying to tell a story set in real life, with different characters from different perspectives, it only makes sense to do that in your writer's room. So that, diversity, equity, inclusion all go together. It's not just about having different faces, in the Zoom room or at the table. It's about how are we empowering those voices to have, be able to speak to their truth, and are we, creating pipelines for the lower level voices, because oftentimes these days the diverse perspectives come from the lower levels. How are we empowering them to be able to rise up to become co-EPs and showrunners and have those voices? So it's a lot of things.
Yeah, in the rooms that you've been in, do you feel like they're a good mixture of people, or do you feel like there's still work to be done?
Oh, there's definitely still work to be done, but I consider myself very, very fortunate that the first rooms that I started in as a writer's assistant were completely diverse rooms. There were rooms in which there was only one cisgender white male at the table. And so I got to see right off the bat how wonderful that works, how much deeper and richer and more interesting and compelling and dramatic it makes the stories that you put into the show. So I think it's not just a theory that people like, they just want to do it just because. It's like, no, it works better.
Yeah.
I've seen it work better. That's just me.
And do you feel, curious.
Yeah, shows that have diverse characters, shows that have diverse writers' rooms do better financially. So even if you're the most racist person in the world, like money, hey, I know all you love money. So at least if you're gonna do it and be greedy, then do it. And but also what I run up against a lot and what I hear about is the scapegoating of diversity hires taking jobs from white men. And it's like, statistically, there's nothing that bears that out. And yet this is being perpetuated at all the different levels in the business. So I think for me, that's like a big, I mean, I tweeted about it a long time ago. It's a big thing. And to me, it's the pipeline, the representation pipeline that is, funneled everyone out and leaves many people out of the running for a writer's room job.
Mhm.
I want to speak to that point specifically about, the line of like, oh, they're only looking for diversity, or you didn't get this job because you're not diverse. It's a lot. I feel like it's a false equivalency being made, a false conclusion being drawn from, experiences. And the fact of the matter is, it's just hard to staff. It's really hard to staff. It feels like there's a lot of shows, but orders are short, jobs are short. And so the pool of writers trying to go for those jobs, it's incredibly competitive. I had a showrunner tell me once, there are more basketball players playing basketball for the NBA than writers employed as television writers writing for TV. That's how competitive these jobs are. And I get that it's tough, and I get that you fight and you get so close, and you've been doing this for so many years, and you feel like this was my chance. And then you hear, oh, a Black writer got it because they were looking for Black writers, and you want to make it make sense. I get that. But, you not getting that job because they were looking for a Black writer, which likely because they'd already hired a bunch of other writers and that they were fit for a specific need, that doesn't then direct to the conclusion of, I didn't get this because I'm white.
Mhm.
That doesn't link up. And I get the impetus to want to make it link up, to make it make sense. But the truth is, we're all just trying to get staffed, and it's hard. I'm very, very fortunate to be staffed right now, but 4 months ago I was unemployed, and I was one of those people looking for the jobs, and where are the jobs? And I'm not gonna staff this year, and I'm just gonna be unemployed and have to get a job at Bath and Body Works. And that was me. It's like, it happened for me, it'll happen for everyone out there.
And that's where I am too. I'm in the same spot. And
sorry.
yeah.
I have
No, go ahead.
No, I have a delay over you guys, and I don't mean to
okay.
interrupt. I just wanted to add on to what Teresa was saying. Like, another theme within that is all the stuff that we've been going through over the last couple of years. It's like there's this group of people, white cis men, who, if they can't understand something or make sense of something, there has to be some big conspiracy going on against them specifically. And then we saw that with COVID, we saw that with the voting, we saw that with a lot of things. And I think we're seeing it with the writers' rooms too, because it's so competitive. It can't be that I'm not good enough. There has to be a whole system against me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I try to give everyone a lot of grace with this, because I know that pain of, I came so close, and I've worked hard, and I've seen people who I feel like didn't work as hard as I did getting it. But the way to comfort yourself is not to draw false equivalencies or to fight with each other. It's like, just keep pushing forward. It's like, don't hate on your fellow writers. Just keep working hard, write the next script, keep pushing forward. Because ultimately, you're not fighting each other. You're fighting a system that is reducing budgets and hiring fewer writers, not hiring writers' rooms at all, doing these mini rooms, and then deciding later if they want to make a show. All these things that shorten writers' employments, that suppress wages. These are all the things we're really fighting.
And just no good.
Adib, you're
If all the diverse writers are taking all the jobs, how come so many of us are unemployed?
Yeah.
Like we're told we already have our South Asian, we already have our Black lesbian, we already have Ecuadorian, and we can't have two in a room. So we're all getting told these things by people who are not being truthful, and we're turning on each other, which is what they want.
Mhm.
And we have to be in solidarity with each other and understand what's right. And white cis het men have to help, especially the ones with power and influence. It can't just be Glenn, out there just trying his best. It has to be more than Glenn Mazzara. So
Like, why can't you have two Asians or two Black writers or two Latino writers, because like my background and experiences won't be the same as this other person. It's where that's where the diversity comes in. Like, you know, I was raised by a single mom in the project. So my life experiences is not going to be the same as somebody who was raised by two parents in Bel Air. So that's two different perspectives right there. And so that makes for more authentic storytelling. And, you know, my point of view, because it's like we both can pull from experiences as Black people, because we do have some shared experiences, but we can also volley off of each other's not shared experiences and make for a more rounded, authentic character and style of storytelling. So it's just like you want different people from different backgrounds. You know, it can be from the same group, like, you know, two Black people, two Black women, or a Black man, a straight Black man, and a gay Black woman. So like these are all different perspectives that can add, you know, some good stuff to your story. So it's just like by saying, oh, we can only have one. And that's like another, you know, like slap in the face thing. Like, we've got the one, you're good enough. You represent your whole community. No, the hell I don't. I represent myself.
Exactly.
I only know me and my life and my experiences. I don't know hers. So it's just like, get her story, you know what I mean? So it's like, stop it, white man. I just stop it.
And let me just also say, this isn't going to be a panel about like bring down cis white men or like their, you know, pointing fingers or whatever.
Oh, no,
it is really more.
Oh, then I'm leaving. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But this is more, because Stephen mentioned this too, like how do we get the people that need to hear this to listen to this? And I think it really is just about having these conversations and them really being open to change. When Aquanita started at Roadmap a couple of years ago, it was very eye-opening to me when she came to me and said, you know, there might be some issues with your company if there's not enough of diverse point of views. Like a lot of the examples we're using in our classes were white shows and all the characters were white and, you know, so on and so forth. And I did feel like, oh yeah, I guess I never even thought about it before. So I hope people can be like, oh, I never even thought about that before, and they could open their minds a little bit more, because that is important. I actually have a question because somebody tweeted about this and I thought it was very interesting, and you guys kind of piggybacking what you guys were talking about is, do you ever feel like your background is exploited? Do you ever feel like somebody's like, write about you being Indian, write about you being Asian, right? Focus on that, when you're like, there's so much more to me than that. Do you ever feel exploited?
Absolutely, especially with all the trauma porn that we keep seeing, like the movie Karen. I just saw the trailer for that the other day. And there's this whole thing called Black Twitter, which is amazing and terrifying at the same time. So it's just like, is this real? And it's like, why do we keep doing like trauma porn? And so that's like exploiting the fact that we were once oppressed people and kind of still are. And so it's like, can we move away from that and like experience our joy? And it's like, you know, we have the same experiences as other groups of people. You know, it's like we get mad, we get angry, we lose our jobs, we have road rage. You know, we have friends that, you know, like we're friends but living single. It was a TV show, by the way, in the 90s. It was single and then it was friends. But it's like, you know, we have those kind of situations. Like, give me more of Insecure or Atlanta, where you can see our struggle without having it be trauma porn. You know what I mean? So it's just like, we are more than how we've been treated and the things that we've been through. So can we see just like more of that, like more authentically who we are as people, and not, you know, the bullshit that we've had to deal with and that we're still dealing with. So it's like, give me more of that. And less
Something
I wanted to add to that too. Kaylin is wanting to add comment. She said, I agree with Aquanita, that we need absolutely more diverse stories. And at the same time, like, who are the people who are selecting the stories? You know, green lighting them. Who are those people? And what do they look like? Who's behind the green light? You know, we need more diversity, not just in the writer's room, but we absolutely need to know more diversity in the decision makers and those who are choosers. It has to go all the way up to the top.
Yes.
Yeah.
And two things I want to say on that. Well, absolutely. Not only do we need more diversity, inclusion, and equity amongst executives, but also agents and managers. Every aspect of the business, you know, every aspect of the business. It's hard. You know, I think networks and some groups are trying to start having pipeline programs to funnel some of those people in. I know CAPE has a new leaders fellowship to try to mentor young Asian American execs or emerging Asian American execs. But the other thing I want to draw everyone's attention to is the tip sheets from the Think Tank on Inclusion and Equity. This is this wonderful organization that has produced these one-page tip sheets that talk about different segments of underrepresented categories and underrepresented voices in TV and film. And they address exactly what Akwinita said. It's like, here's the stereotypes, the stories we don't need any more of. And here's some stories we'd love more of, more Black joy. I know for the Asian American tip sheet, they talked about, showing that the Asian American diaspora is not a monolith, that Asian Americans do face issues of poverty, mental illness, domestic violence, other aspects of that. I see Stephen put the fact sheets into the chat. Like, everyone who is a writer should read every single one of these fact sheets because it talks about the stories we don't need any more of and the stories that are opportunities to be mined.
I want to speak on that too, as I just launched the Big Break contest, and every year I go out to executives, development execs, managers, agents, anyone who's a gatekeeper, decision maker in the industry that can move a writer's career forward in some meaningful way. And this year I have no Black judges. I have Rachel Kiner, who is mixed, but she, like Akwinita said, she doesn't represent all Black people, so I sent out, I went through IMDb Pro, I went to all of the agencies, all of the management firms. I did a lot of cold emails myself. I put a tweet out looking for more diverse folks that we could add to our jury. And I got 0 response. And that just tells me we don't have people in those positions of power to move these early careers further. Not enough. I have plenty of white male and female folks, and they're in the LGBTQIA, they're in differently abled, whether it's mental or physical, but the space for Black managers, agents, development executives, I can't find them, which means we need a lot more of them. And I think that really starts with these firms. A lot of the issues that we want to see immediate results, there's time and infrastructure that has to happen at the, I don't know, I guess at the early stages. I don't know how all the inner workings of agencies and management firms and how they all come up and, from desks and onto their own. But it's not there.
Well, it exactly what you're talking about links to the Pay Up Hollywood discussion, because how does someone become an exec? They start as an assistant in the lower ranks. And when you can't pay a living wage, that keeps out a lot of people from underrepresented categories because they just can't afford to live in Los Angeles, one of the most expensive cities in the country, and get $15 an hour to work 60 plus days a week, covering a phone, making FedEx runs, dry cleaning runs, everything for these people in order they can't afford to put in the pay their dues in a way that they can rise up at agencies, at management companies, at production companies, at studios, so it's a real issue.
I wanted to say that, I wanted to add again to Kayla's comment, in terms of looking and where do we find people, maybe it would be a good idea to start with some things in film projects and expose young people when they're 18 years old and provide them with some special diversity initiatives that start in film school, that start with curriculum way early on, because that way when they get out of film school, then they already get it, they already understand inclusion. So that's something else to think about. And another thing that I wanted to add is a lot of times in terms of diversity inclusion and initiatives, basically, disability is often left out of that conversation. Disability is frequently not, we people are applying for diversity initiatives, but disabled people are not sort of welcome at that table or welcome to apply for that kind of thing. So there's a constant leaving out of deaf people, and what they oftentimes don't recognize or make space in the room for people who have disabilities. And right now I am aware that the writers in the TV industry, I think there's only 0.7% of all working writers have a disability. So yeah, that's huge. And it's very, very, very hard for us disabled folks to get entry. And that's why the Inevitable Foundation that I mentioned before actually established this writers program, the fellowship program, to provide more opportunities for deaf disabled writers to actually make entree into the field.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I feel like what Kayla said before is really important too, is like you have to look and like search. And we just had, like, I know for Roadmap, we just had a manager series, and of 10 managers, one was a woman of color. And I feel like sometimes execs of color have to work 3 times as hard, and they don't have the time to be like, okay, let me give away a few hours of my weekend because I have nothing else to do, when they have to fight. Just as one other thing I want to say that I guess I'm a little disappointed out, and Stephen, this kind of echoes your what you said before. I don't know all the writers, all the attendees, but I'm just looking at the names that I do know. It's a little disappointing to see so few white writers participating. I see a lot of amazing people that I love, but when I see the people that do really need to hear this, it's so few, and that's very disappointing. I mean,
it's a common thing. I feel like everyone on this panel can talk about how, it's often the people from these underrepresented categories who are doing the emotional labor of explaining to others why we belong, why we deserve a chance, why we why we deserve to be here. And even when we do get those opportunities, we're constantly a cycle of trying to prove ourselves that we belong, that we deserve to get that chance, and that we don't deserve to be here. So, that's it. I don't know how to end that other than more Glenn Mazares in the world. It's because it's for what Glenn understands, and I'm projecting onto him, but I feel like what Glenn understands is that this is a systemic issue that damages the industry as a whole. It damages shows, cultures, work environments, a systemic keeping out of all these voices. It's bad for everybody. And it only helps when people are more inclusive and include underrepresented voices.
Can you say who's Glenn? Somebody asked.
Yeah, Glenn Mazzara is a writer, executive producer, showrunner who ran shows such as The Walking Dead early on, Crash. He created Damien. Is that the name of the show? That was like a sequel to The Omen. So he's a prolific writer and executive producer. He's also on the Writers Guild of America's Inclusion and Equity Committee. And he is an outspoken voice as a cishet white male who he's an outspoken voice for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And he's he's vocal on Twitter. He's vocal in committee meetings. He's vocal voice on the WGA board. And there are a lot of people like him, on the board, showrunners, people in power. We gotta have more of them, more of us, more of them,
You definitely need more allies, and the whole invalidating, like you have to prove your worth and prove why you're here. That's like a form of a microaggression. Like you telling me that I'm not worthy of being here, and that because I'm a person of color, I'm a diversity hire.
Yeah.
And it's like, what if I'm and I'm better than you at storytelling, so I got the job because I'm good. So it's just like, why can't that be the reason? Black person, got this job. And so it's just like, don't project onto me, like, put your microaggressions away in your pocket. I don't need that. Thank you.
I apologize. I have to go back to work.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yes. Yeah.
I really apologize that I can't stay. This conversation is great. I love all of you. I love everything we're saying. And I hope people in the audience are getting both a feeling of like, I'm not alone,
Yeah.
And there are other voices out there that are, validating what I'm feeling and speaking out in fighting it. But I also hope, you'll all support the Pay Up Hollywood movement. Follow me on Twitter, because like Joey said, I'm always talking about stuff like this. So I got to go back to work. I got to go hop into my other Zoom. So
Yeah.
sorry.
Bye. See you later.
Teresa,
All right,
thank you.
bye.
Kayla, can you talk a little bit about the diversity stuff that you're doing? I know you've been when you said that you were doing this, literally so many writers were like, yes, like she really does put her money where her mouth is. And so talk a little bit about that.
Every week. My first- well, I mean, as far as final draft is concerned, I honestly got really, really fucking lucky. I have a bad mouth, people, sorry. That the team at Final Draft cares about inclusion and equity. I really think that's what it comes down to, because the team is also very white, and that's, changing. We're definitely working on that. We have a whole task force going on for the corporate side of our company, for the mommy and daddy company. Our team put together the inclusivity analysis feature. I couldn't even remember the name of it, and we made it. It's our baby, and which analyzes your script to see how inclusive it is in whatever you want to measure, whether it's education, skin color, sexuality, whatever it is. We also have been giving away copies of Final Draft like candy to underrepresented groups, specifically the Black, Indigenous, people of color. We work a lot with respectability. We work with cinemability. There's not a single day where we're not working on something within the inclusion space and trying to make a small dent. But we're one tiny company. It doesn't matter how much work we do. There's always critics. For example, I have to make a phone call today to explain to a potential contestant how our contest is not actually racist against Black people, but their perception, what they have taken the time to see online, what they've taken the time to understand, makes them feel like we are. So I need to call them up and hear why, and then explain, and I'll either learn or explain to them, I have to figure out what the discrepancy is, right? Because obviously we're not doing enough of something if one person thinks that we are. Who knows? It's just it's an everyday thing that our whole team really cares about. We just got Heather Daughtry on our team, who's now our marketing coordinator, and since she's jumped on, we are working with Start With 8 Hollywood. If you don't know who they are, please connect with them ASAP. Their growth rate is so incredible. They're worldwide now after a year of 2 cycles. And she's
I'm sorry to interrupt, Caleb. Could you repeat the name of the organization that we should be familiar with?
Yeah, it's Start With 8 Hollywood.
Start with me.
8.
Start
with
with
8.
8. Yeah, sorry. I also am a Valley girl and I speak very fast. I apologize. So we work with them. We're working with Lena Waite's organization, Hellman Grad. We're working with the Disruptors. We work with CAPE. We work with every single organization we possibly can to do what we can in a space that is technically not our lane as a software company, but I think that's what all companies should be doing, is like, we have some place in this conversation, and how can we as a company, as a brand, do something significant, not just post a black square or say that you are an ally. Because if you're not giving money, if you're not hiring these underrepresented folks, if you're not doing something every day, you're not enough.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's and personally, I try like every week to donate money to an organization that benefits underrepresented groups. So Women of Color Unite, I donate to. Social Ripple Effect, I donate to. Black Lives Matter, I donate to. There's tons of them, and I could be doing better, right? Because I didn't mention any organizations for people with disabilities. So
I have to say, Kayla, what I love about you is that you are so open and like you are, oh, you're listening and like you are the first to say like I could do this more, I could do this more. I feel like so many people are afraid to say that.
None of us know anything. That's the whole point of this whole industry.
Yeah.
Nobody knows anything.
It's so
What I
true.
say every day.
Yeah.
All opinions. is
Everyone's faking it.
they-
Yeah.
Yes, Latif.
Well,
Yeah.
what are some initiatives for disabled writers? And maybe this could be to Kaylin, I'm curious.
Yeah, because I don't know enough. I know of Cinemability and I know of Respectability.
Yeah.
Lauren Applebaum, if you don't know her, find her on Twitter. But yeah, I'd love to hear from Kaylin how I can be doing better for sure.
Sorry, one moment while the chat is blocking Kaylin. It would be wonderful to have, hold 1 second, I need to move you because, sorry, the interpreter's chat is blocking Kaylin. So thank you all for a moment of your patience. I think it would be really great if we could add initiatives for people with disabilities, because I think they're really the more that we have. And also, if people with disabilities are already, that really actually already includes all other diverse groups. I mean, because disability crosses every race, every gender, every other sort of, the umbrella of disability really is already an inclusive one. We're just starting to see different disabilities get their starts, but I mean, it's really in a nascent stage right now. So the more that we have of those initiatives, the better. And I would love to add also budgets for access as something. For example, some deaf people like myself use an interpreter. And that costs money. And there are certain buildings that may require ramps or special doors for wheelchair access for people to be able to actually access the settings. So we just need more of that and more openness to the understanding that that's going to cost a little, rather than, oh my gosh, we didn't think about that and we didn't budget for that. And so we'd love to have you, but. And that becomes a whole other barrier for us besides the barriers that exist. So it's kind of time to put the burden on the people, rather not the people, take the burden away from the people with disabilities to feel that they have to sort of approach it like, oh God, I'm really sorry, I have to ask for this extra thing. I know I'm a burden. It's really about opening the door to people with disabilities and shifting that burden onto the industry. So what would be great is to see more folks say, oh my goodness, or to have like ADA statements, or to say that they have they're open access things that are sort of ready to go. And maybe there's like, there are people who, for example, have low vision that use special like audio things. So if things were more accessible, websites and marketing materials with captions, with audio descriptions, with whatever, that is more, not only more inclusive for the people who need that, it invites more people to the table, but it also encourages other folks in all industries, all other walks of life to think inclusively because they see it, right? And so we need to think about inclusion, and that actually starts also with language, how we language this stuff.
And I think to add to that, when you said the word budget, another light went off. You can't say that you don't have the money to make your sets, your writers' rooms, your offices, whatever the thing is we need to access. We can't sit here and say that we don't have the money for it, because you all just figured out how to add 100,000 or more to your budgets for COVID PPE, right? The testing, the quarantining, the housing, all of that. I mean, we had to come up with a whole new system of the different zones of the set you can be on. So you can't say that we were able to get back to filming, but we don't have the money, during COVID, but we don't have the money to make all of those areas more accessible for those that have, that live with disabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on that note, I would also add that to that, the access is not really just about the people with disabilities. It's not just for them. It's incredible how accessibility for disabled people have helped so many other people. So if you think about ramps, You know, ramps that are created for people with disabilities can help cameras and dollies and other kinds of things on set. And in real life, in regular life, you know, those ramps on corners help people who use strollers, right? You know, using ASL on set, it's got incredible potential for you know, silent communication. And there's a way that all of these things can turn into a great big yes, where people will say, maybe, hopefully, not just, oh, this is an added burden to us, but this is actually a benefit, an added benefit.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
very good points.
Yeah.
Oh, do you were going to say something?
Oh, I'm a big proponent of talking about disability because it's not talked about enough by people who are able, and it's amazing what the look that people give me when I bring it up. You know, like, you know, we're telling a story about a particular type of person. We need to have that lived experience. We need to have that kind of person in the room. We need to make our building accessible. And there's like, well, why do you care about that? You're not disabled, is what they'll tell you. And you're like, well, how do you know? You know, you don't know. There are a lot of invisible disabilities, and to assume that about anybody is a big, big mistake. And I think Kaylin's right. Like, doing more for people who have disabilities will help literally everybody. There's no one it won't help. And it'll help our storytelling, because you can't just put an able actor in a chair and push them around and go, that guy is representing the whole community. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked that up on because I recently binged like Superstore. And so like when I see somebody in a show or film who is being portrayed as disabled, I have now started looking that person up, like the actor, to see if they're actually disabled or not. And the guy who played, I can't remember his name, but the one who was in the wheelchair, he's able to walk. So I'm like, were there no actors who were like really in a wheelchair who could play this role? And so it's just like, why is Hollywood still perpetuating that? And I know it's because it's easier for them and budget wise, but it's just like, why not give somebody who's actually wheelchair bound that job? Or you know, somebody who has an actual disability that job? Because again, like you said, Adib, it's more authentic storytelling, because they're coming from their own personal experience, and no, they don't speak for the entire community, but they can bring their life experiences and experiences from people that they know into the show, and then you're thus educating the masses on something that they may not have known of. And there's like the invisible disabilities like mental health, and it's like a lot of people suffer from that, especially people of color, and it's so stigmatized that it's like we can't be viewed as weak because we're already struggling and fighting to like find our place and fit. So now we can't say, oh, I suffer from depression, because then it's like nobody's going to want to touch us. You know what I mean? So it's just like holding people accountable and making it okay to like say, no, this is not cool that somebody who's in a wheelchair did not get this role, or that I don't feel safe enough to speak up and say, hey, I have depression, you know, things like that, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, I think that makes complete sense. And while I do not at all support this, I will add that when it comes to casting, and this is stuff I know from the ultra low budget world, if hiring someone on the cast authentically doesn't add to the bottom line, meaning the name doesn't bring in ad value for the sale of the project, that's probably what's motivating their decision of who they bring in. They'd rather put in some D-list actor who can get them an extra $250,000 on the bottom line when they sell the project than hire someone authentically. And that's what's wrong. It's always down to the bottom line.
I can't tell you how many times I talk to execs and they're like, yeah, we're looking for diverse writers. They need to have been in 5 writers' rooms and done this and that. And it's like, well, okay, there's like literally like 2, and you know better than that. And Kaylin, you're going to say something. I think you raised your hand.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to add something. I was to a previous comment. Oh gosh, I think it slipped my mind. It was a comment that Adquanita was making about finding actors who use looking for actors who use a wheelchair. Because when you think about it, there are so very, 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 very few opportunities for actors who in fact do use a wheelchair in their regular lives to have an opportunity to act that acting role. So that acting role is the perfect opportunity for them, and they are essentially robbed of one of the very, very few opportunities that they will ever get. And what happens is it sends a very, very negative message. So that means, oh gosh, people who are actually wheelchair users are not good enough to play the role of a wheelchair user. And for example, like there's so many examples of hearing actors who are taught by deaf people, consultants to learn sign language. It doesn't look authentic on screen to play the role of a deaf character. And you know, there's a large population in the US, there's a huge percentage of the population in the US that is disabled. And that's a consumer marketing base who spend billions of dollars and would be thrilled that that group of people would to see themselves represented on screen, and that would translate into dollars, marketing dollars. And it really would actually pull in a larger contingent of the disabled world population in the US as audience members. And that would make, you know, that translates into money. But on a second note, I would also like to add another thing that Aquanita said, a good point about the mental health issues. And I think that if we start normalizing mental health issues or disability and all of those things, then specific minorities or people who don't have the ability to feel safe showing that it allows that to become a normalized thing, and it would have a huge impact, I think, in moving the needle forward for those very communities who struggle with that because they can't.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Can I spill a little tea?
Yeah.
Yes.
Spill it.
That's why we're here, Joey.
Wait, did he freeze?
Can we-
Joey, you froze.
Someone's jamming the signal.
I know.
Freeze when you
Okay, so what'd you say?
tea.
I see.
Well,
The
because
timing is
one of the-
suspicious here.
Oh, no, we're making
Maybe he
I
spilled,
suspect
maybe he
he
spilled
can't
his
hear me.
tea on his actual keyboard. And,
Wait, I'm
Hey,
back. I
there's
can
the
see
live.
me. You see me?
Oh wait,
Yes.
you're like
Oh no, you froze again.
you're okay.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
So, no, I'm here. One of the things, so I'm not a writer. I've never been in a writer's room. So I can't speak on that regard. But what I can speak on is I've worked in this industry as, you know, working for a screenwriting organization for 10 years and helping writers, up and coming writers and stuff like that, working with a lot of execs and, you know, connecting the dots or whatever. But it's so interesting that looking for diverse writers, it feels almost, and this is what me and Adeep were talking about, kind of was the impetus to doing this in the first place, was it feels so much like it doesn't feel, in a lot of ways, it doesn't feel authentic. There seem like they're scrambling all the time. It's like, where were you years ago? Why are you now scrambling in a lot of ways? I still get emails from reps saying, how old is this person? I don't want to rep somebody old enough to be my parent. Still to this day, literally last week, I got a rep saying that to me.
Right.
I still have calls with reps that they're not excited about diversity initiatives, and to them it's they kind of roll their eyes at it. There's so much work to be done. I think in the Q&A box is I roll my eyes and get annoyed with different organizations that are like, yes, we love diversity. It's so important to us. Submit to this to our competition, our diverse competition for $70 because we care about diversity. And they're not doing the things that like Kayla are doing about giving away Final Draft for free and listening to writers out of her day and doing stuff like this, it seems so much like a money grab in a lot of ways, especially with different organizations where there's like a price associated with it. And trust me, like these places are making so much money. They don't need another outlet to bring in more cash. They have enough. So I feel like for any organization that they don't have those free diversity initiatives and those free things, you have to ask yourself, well, if you're such a big proponent of diversity, why aren't you doing anything about it? And why are you putting a price tag on it?
It's because everyone's been, publicly shamed for their gross behavior. And now they want to be able to go to a party and a barbecue, their all white barbecue, and tap themselves on the shoulder, go like, I'm a good white person.
Yeah.
And it's like, we see through that, guy. We see through it. And so like, I know I'm like going crazy here, but like, we hear these stories all the time about like why we can't be in a writer's room, why we can't, like they tell you, okay, go through this hoop, get a fellowship, and then we'll staff you. You do that. They're like, well, now you need to have a manager and agent. Okay, Joey gets you a manager and agent. Okay, well, now we can't start. Oh, but we don't have a character that looks like you on our show, so we don't need that voice in the room. And it's like the most ridiculous thing in the world. And again, it's that pipeline at the bottom, like who gets to be an exec, who gets to be an agent, who gets to be a manager, who gets to be a studio boss. And if we don't change that, it's not going to change,
I have something to add to that for the age side of things. I'm going to leave all the names out, but I was exploring getting into the world of management pretty recently, and was effectively told from from two of the different managers I made phone calls to, that I am too old to be on set.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
I'm 38 years old. That I am too old to be on a desk and train and learn. And the subtext was, we don't pay enough for you to provide for your family.
Right. Like they should let you decide.
Back to Teresa's point, pay up, Hollywood.
Yeah. They don't know.
Representation.
Yeah.
I have learned that I don't. I'm staying at Final Draft. Don't tell Phil. It really does come down to the fact that the pay is so little and the hours are so insane. Both of these people knew my personal situation. I'm 38 years old and I don't have an education in film. Everything I know is on the desk. And I am a single mother. So how am I going to be able to be on their desk for 10 to 12 hours a day at what, minimum wage? What do people on desks make, right? So yeah, the bigger problem is the access. Yeah, I needed to share that. Because I was like,
Kayla, you would make, I speak
great,
everybody, I'm not even a writer, and I'd be like, can you represent me?
Yeah.
Just for no reason. Like you would be a killer manager.
Damn.
Well, okay.
Maybe, but it's all just to say that, like, and the other thing that I've bumped up against is for our contest last year specifically, try to slow down my talking. More than one person used, who is a white cis male, they identified themselves to me in the escalated conversation. They felt like they should be able to claim their entry as a diversity entry because they have ADHD. And that is an interesting question, because I have ADHD and I'm directing this contest.
Me too.
And I'm not on any medication for it. I see it as a superpower. But I don't know all the different levels. It's not a monolith. Nothing. Right. We got to stop looking at everything as a monolith, right? Yeah. Because some people could have it so severe, it really is debilitating. But I also, I don't see, this gets into intersectionality, right? You're still a cis white male. So you're still starting life up here.
Yeah.
Whereas a Black man or a Black man with disabilities, physical and mental, it's different. The disparity is completely different. And that's where I think the conversation of the intersectionality comes in. People need to
Yeah.
understand, like, on a granular level, what this all means and does.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone who's neurodiverse, I found out over pandemic that I'm neurodiverse. Your whole life, you're like, I am a normal person. It's like, no, you're not. No one thinks like you.
You
And it's
are.
like, shit, oh, that's why everything's happening. Okay. But like, I'm a functional human being. I have struggles with, schedules and shit like that. I mean, kind of. For a writer, I'm great. But like, am I gonna go wear that as a badge of honor and try to use it as a diversity point? Probably not, because there are people who are way more severe than me. I will write about it, and I can, because that is my experience, but it's really tricky with ADHD in particular, any of the neurodiversity issues. That one is like the most gray area of all, because we know so little about it, and
Yeah.
everyone has a different presentation. So
Let me, in the remaining minutes, and people were, by the way, we've done a lot of Zooms. This is probably one of the most active Zoom chats. You can tell people are like heated and ready to go. But I guess like, and Aquanita, I would love for you to speak on this too, since I know you've been dealing with a lot of diverse writers, is what can we do? And what can be done? And what are the steps being taken? And what do diverse writers want? Like how can we be allies? How can I be an ally? How can I help? And what do you feel could be done?
I mean, I can't speak for the whole community because it's like I'm just me, but I just know that we need a chance. It just boils down to we need somebody to say, hey, we're going to give you a chance. We see you. We think you have the potential to be a strong writer or a strong, what is the word when you do things in a place? Oh my God.
Like an intern?
What was it?
An intern?
No. Oh God. Starts with a letter, obviously. Jesus.
It starts with
it doesn't start with a number.
If you say start with a number, I'd be very.
I was like,
a strong. Oh my God.
oh boy.
Playwright, producer, we're all throwing out the words.
You help with the thing, and you help. And
an ally.
Advocate.
An ally.
Mentor, ally.
Contributor. Contributor. Thank
Contributor.
you, chat came in. Thank you.
Dude, I was never gonna get there.
No.
After we started with the C. I'm sorry. But like we can contribute. Like
yes.
and at the beginning of the conversation of the panel, it was just like, there are so many positions, so few positions, but so many writers who is trying to get in staff rooms, but you almost always go with somebody who has some kind of a credit. And so it's like, if you never give somebody a chance because they have no credits, then how are they ever going to get a chance? And how are they going to learn and grow? So it's just like, I feel like Hollywood needs to unclutch its pearls and just give people of color with disabilities a chance to show that, hey, we are here. Yeah. We are able, we can contribute, we can do the thing that we're trying to, everybody else so easily gets a chance to do. And it's like, I know it's all about who you know. Right. It's like, help me know somebody or help these underrepresented groups know somebody who can get them into the group. And, allies can do that by speaking up, by calling out their, other non-diverse, non-POC colleagues and friends by rolling their eyes at diversity initiatives or not jumping on the bandwagon, so to speak. And also it's like, stop treating us like we're a goddamn trend. Like we're not a trend. Like,
that's what I hate.
That's
what I hate. I'm not a trend. I've been here a while. My people have been here for fucking thousands of years, and so have everyone else's. We are like, I mean, come on, like none of you would have good food without us or music or anything. like you'll roll, you'll roll up to the writer's room in your car listening to hip hop and then go in and sit in an all white room and go like, I'm street. And it's like, shut the fuck up.
Wait, can we all agree that Unleash Its Pearls is the theme and the motto, the statement of the
I'm getting shirts made.
In Beverly Hills by all of the agency offices.
Hashtag Unleash Pearls.
I wore this shirt on purpose. But it's just like I felt it was fitting for the panel. So it's like for real o'clock. A friend of mine made I said this in conversation with a friend and I didn't realize I said for real o'clock and then she made it on a t-shirt for me. So it's
Yeah,
like but yeah,
that's love.
Yeah.
that's what I got, Joey. So like, be an ally and
Well,
just,
I'll,
did you freeze again? Yeah.
with if anybody has, or shoot, it says my internet is unstable. Can you all hear me?
Because you keep freezing.
Frozen now.
Sorry, I should be good now. But
Okay.
the last thing I'll say is hello, Kayla, Akita, Kaylin, Adib. I don't know if you're in the chat box. Let us know what else you all want, what
Yeah.
else could be done, anything that you feel is shady, anything that needs eyeballs on. Like we want to know, and we want to. Sorry, I'm in New York, and
Joey's in New York.
yeah, this hotel's horrible, but let us know, like what else, where we should be focusing our attention to. I know we said start with 8. So yeah, Kayla.
I was just gonna say, like, and this is not something that how can I say this? Just don't at me. Why do you well, you can, but I won't reply. I'm gonna focus energy on reparations and not Chads and Karens. But if you don't know how to be an ally, if you feel scared you're going to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing or leave the wrong group, whatever the thing is that is keeping you from allyship, find me on Twitter, DM me. I will do the work. I will talk to you. I will help you learn how to Google. It's incredible. I was just having a conversation this morning about when the first Afro horror film was made. Like, there's so many people in this world that think that Jordan Peele started it all, and I'm here to tell you you're wrong. But it is, listen, it can be very intimidating. I was definitely scared to open my mouth and shut down microaggressions in the office I've heard over my experience at the family dinner table. And it really does take, education and time. And I think we all owe it to the rest of the fucking world to do that, though. And I'm here. If you need support, find me on Twitter and DM me. If it's anything outside of that, I'm not going to read your script. And I'm not. And to the cis white guys who say I'm racist against white men, you cannot oppress the oppressor. That's it.
And to Kayla, it's like Google is your friend when you're trying to learn about how to be an ally. It's like, stop putting all of the burden on the shoulders of people of color. It's like, I'm not here to educate you on how to be a better person. It's like Google is there. And especially like when George Floyd died, so many people were sharing books and just like resources. Like the information is out there. You just need to go and look it up yourself and stop asking the community who's been affected by, this certain thing that's happening. Like, how can I help? What should I do? Google it. I can't help you. I can't coddle you right now because I'm dealing with my own like inevitable mental breakdown. So I can't show you your emotional shit. I'm sorry. It's just not happening.
Yeah. Don't ask the people who are being oppressed. You buy them a drink and then you go do the fucking work.
And if you're scared, just go incognito and then search how to be an ally. If you like the people in your house, you don't want them to know that you want to be an ally because they'll never be an ally because they're all suits at wherever. And incognito is great.
That's right. I forget Big Brother is watching people's internet searches.
Right.
But yeah.
The last thing I'll say is, being behind these scenes past 10 years, it is so refreshing to me to see the Kaylas and the Adibs and the Aquanitas and the Kaylins really on the ground making the changes. I've known Kayla for a little while, I've known Adib for a little while, and I know that it's so exciting to see them being champions for all writers and all voices, and I'm just in awe of everybody here and super inspired. I'm learning from Aquanita every day. I make missteps on an hourly basis. She lets me know, and I will, I'm the first to claim that. But okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much for participating, and everybody who was here. Thank you for all the white cis men participating too. I see you, I see the names, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks everybody for joining.
And send this recording to your white cis male friend.
Yeah. Awesome, everybody. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.